Good evening.
Good evening.
So, I was thinking earlier on about what a miserable mood I must have been in during this run of episodes, because I seem to recall being exceptionally disappointed by this episode. And then it dawned on me that between this episode and the next episode, some life-shattering event occurred. So maybe I was just a little bit preoccupied to fully enjoy it the first time, which is a great pity because I really enjoyed Vampires from Venice.
I really enjoyed it more.
Yeah, and it's odd that I couldn't tune in with it to the extent that I did this evening, because it's really good fun. There are a lot of plates spinning here, but as with Moffat generally, he seems to keep them all going.
Lots of plates.
Oh, there is. There's Rory.
I thought it was really quite straightforward.
But we've introduced a brand new companion. I think we think that way now because we're so used to Rory. But Rory comes in and has a very, very different dynamic. Like that bit where he talks to the Doctor about why he's dangerous, because you make people want to impress you. That's canny. And that's not quite anything that we've had before. I mean, you could make the comparison between Rory and Mickey, but I think that Rory is a far more interesting character than Mickey. Mickey develops and grows, but Rory starts off being somebody that you could accuse of being a drip, but actually there's a depth to him. The fact that he's gone and researched stuff and the Doctor's not mad keen on that, and then the sword fight, it was very charming. And, this is not a joke character. The fact that Amy clearly remembers that she should be snogging Rory and not the Doctor at the end of the episode is a lovely thing. And I just feel that could have gone catastrophically wrong. We know from Moffat in DWM that he has explicitly said that he was very influenced by Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen and Ian Marter, one of the great forgotten companion Doctor team-ups, really, let's be honest.
I thought the Doctor was very relaxed about letting everyone in his TARDIS.
This Doctor, I think, is really finding his way. I think this Doctor is, not shed of all the guilt of the Time War or all that kind of thing. Poor old Dusty's going to bark in a minute at the back door. Not shed.
Be careful about that, please.
She's not shed of all the guilt of the Time War, but certainly indulging himself in this new existence. And it's a joyous thing. And Matt Smith, honestly, I just think Matt Smith's take on the Doctor is revelatory, to be perfectly honest, because it's, with hindsight, such a change from Tennant. And for some reason, I just didn't appreciate that at the time. But it's so very different and so much more, I don't want to say nuanced, because that sounds like I'm dissing Tennant. But I do think it's more nuanced, but there we go.
Dude, it's just because it's the new shiny Doctor, you're always like, oh, that's my favourite.
I'm allowed to feel this way. It's my programme. I can feel the way I want to feel. Anyway, so I've loved Vampires from Venice, and there's so much to love about it. I love the alien race, although, as Liv points out, they don't look very fishy, really. They look more insectoid, but we can let that slide. I love the setup. I love the fact, this does sound really weird, that we've got a threat to one city. Not the whole world, not a whole galaxy, and I say just, but it's...
Just 200,000 people.
And this is Venice, after all, and isn't it nice to be in Venice? And so, just honestly, I've just absolutely loved watching this episode. It felt... so that was very rude. It felt very nice being... reacquainted with this slice of her, and I love the bit at the start when he comes out of the cake and just the awkwardness of it, and when he says, do you know when you say things in your head? Anyway, here's the thing I want to mention, a strange coincidence. I'm still poorly. I'm putting on a brave face for you, but I still feel very ill.
You're doing a very good job.
I'm doing a very good job, thank you very much. And so therefore I spent a sizable chunk of the day reading. I'm a librarian, this is my one, and I've been reading this, and I've mentioned these before. These are the About Time books. They are principally written by Tapwood and other people. This is the one pertaining to David Tennant's first and second series. And I, weirdly enough, read this in the essay entitled Was 2006 the Annus Mirabilis, which I always thought was the bad year, but it's quite the opposite.
Annus Horribilis.
Anyway, get this. The financial constraints imposed on the BBC by the Blair government after the Hutton inquiry were partly offset, in the case of Doctor Who, by the Canadian deal, even though The 2006 episodes have some fairly blatant cost-cutting. They were still unexpectedly lavish. So that's running up to Doomsday. This continued as the Tennant's episodes grew more ambitious, but ended abruptly when the Moffat-Smith episodes began. We will look at some of the catastrophic miscalculations, literal and figurative, in the first year of the new regime in Volume 9, which isn't available yet, annoyingly. But for now, it's worth considering how the abrupt drop in production values matched the fall in disposable income among the viewers. The ingenuity of Davis, Julie Gardner, and above all Phil Collinson in making the episodes lends a respective glow to those episodes, whereas the painfully obvious cheats of Moffat, Piers Wenger, and Beth Goddard recall some of the on-screen we can't afford it moments of season 6. Now, why do I cite this apart from the glorious coincidence of having read that today? I'll tell you for why. Because all the way through this episode, I'm thinking, it's nonsense, Tat. What are you on about, mate? This episode looks absolutely beautiful. It's sumptuous. It's gorgeous. And then we get to the bit at the end with him climbing up the tower. And as you know, I've got all the time in the world to ignore ropey special effects in Doctor Who. If you're a proper Doctor Who fan, you're just born into it. But my gosh, that bit with Matt Smith climbing up the tower looked crap. I mean, it really looks poor. To the extent that it kind of, my suspension of disbelief was challenged quite hard. And I obviously reflected back on that. Can you remember Fear Her, when Tennant's climbing up the tower at the end? That's our comparison. I'll be honest, I don't remember thinking that was the most amazing effect ever, but nothing about it pulled me out. So that's going to be something I'm going to be keeping an eye on going forward, because was it that bad? Was I just distracted by the life-shattering event that was about to occur between this and Amy's Choice next week? But anyway, there we go. But that's just an aside. That was just an odd coincidence. In this time of feeling very poorly indeed, I'm putting on a brave, brave face, aren't I, darling? She said yes.
Yes, you are. Very, very brave.
Thank you, I'm very, very brave. Watching this and realising that actually it's at least a good episode of Doctor Who, if not a very, very enjoyable one, was a proper treat indeed. What a great first season this is becoming.